in addition to, you know, Kingzone looking so good, I think that they've also gotten more flexible. Yeah, they have a good handle on the meta, but also when we saw them last at Worlds, you know, Khan has actually improved in team fighting. He's improved in joining the rest of the team. He doesn't have to just, you know, split off on his own. So like they have multiple options. Obviously, Peanut as well, replacing Cuz was a huge bump for them.
And those things were connected. At the end of the day, bringing in a carry-focused jungler who can shot call in the early game and really start to ramp up the pressure early, there was less pressure on only Khan being the pressure valve in top. It opened up. How about the jungler gets in there? Peanut's Olaf still undefeated on the year 6-0. That's a pick I want to be looked at here. But I'm really excited to see if we just see the greatest hits of what we saw earlier today in their victories, or if we see something new from RNG and Kingzone.
Well, a little respect there as Kingzone ban out the Kog'Maw in addition to the Kai'Sa here against Uzi, so we won't be having a repeat of that.
Expecting that one right off the bat. So what's the first pick going to be? Is it the Ezreal steal? We knew that Kingzone was willing to first pick the champion earlier on in the day. Sion, of course, left up could be very valuable as well, and is also famously a flex. You can put that one mid lane, but no, Trundle, highest priority right now, get that frontline jungler.
Does mean that the Olaf is available. Now, Trundle was, of course, first coming out as an answer to the Olaf, a soft answer, you would say, is able, if you're able to get mid lane priority, to out-duel him and get in there and use the terrain to get around his Ragnarok. We'll see if the Olaf is going to be picked, because for now, Kingzone, they're focusing on what they like. And we saw first pick Ezreal, so we will not be surprised to see Ezreal back-to-back for prey.
Down the line, the most played. Another game in on Ryze for BDD. He played 10 during the LCK, and this is going to be another one on the board for him. Of course, the Karma he played earlier in the day, banned off, can't do it here, but still, on comfort always.
And let's see what RNG are going to follow this up with, because I think they're probably expecting this Ezreal as well. As easy as it is to follow the trends in the early priority, the Ashe for Uzi this is kind of something we're used to seeing to Uzi actually when he gets pressured a little bit more, and he kind of falls back on this. Like, I'm gonna apply the arrows for the team, and we're gonna have the, very focused on 5v5. Trundle's gonna be able to shred the tanks. Ashe is gonna provide the main initiation. See if it actually plays out for him.
Usually that answer into the Caitlyn. Caitlyn was obviously something they were considering here on the side of RNG. They're going to go for the Ashe for the utility like you mentioned. Well, that's seed lane control to Ezreal, not something ideal given how good of a tempo team Kingzone are, and the Swain flex pick also locked in.
I typically consider Ashe a stronger laner if everything else is equal. I think you have better shove because volley is so good and you can just kind of chain autos in the minions. What I'm very interested in is do they grab the Tahm Kench? Because it's the obvious answer to Ashe, but once you do that, you can now pick a lane bully support like a Soraka and force them to seed lane control, and then you immediately win the 2-on-2, the exact matchup we had seen played before. Soraka into Tahm Kench to get priority. This could be an easy pickup here for Ming.
And those things are always fun. I really want to see that sort of logic followed, because Kingzone don't just abort plans, they adapt and they use their couple of remaining picks, which are jungle, noticeably not a first-round jungler taken by Kingzone and this flex top or mid laner that they need to pick up. So absolutely, let's see RNG throw out a gauntlet like a ranged support and how Kingzone adapt both in pick ban but also in game.
They also, RNG, even though, yeah, they can jump on this bottom lane and try and do a very punishing duo to get Uzi ahead, they have to keep their eyes on the pros of picking up a Tahm Kench and what this gives to Kingzone, because they already have a Ryze, they have the Tahm Kench, there's a lot of mobility for map movements here. Abyssal Voyage of Tahm Kench is one of the things that makes the big difference between the good Tahm Kenches and the very poor Tahm Kench.
And let's also talk about if they actually move their attention elsewhere, because Trundle Swain has kind of been this really big combo where the Trundle pillar comes in, it procs the Swain passive, you can take down from there, arrows can be locked into the mid lane. They're not actually, depending on where the Swain goes, ruling out a mid lane focus, which has been not the playbook recently from RNG.
Ooh, hover the Graves, now hovering the Kindred there. Was surprised to see an Olaf ban specifically, because again, you consider Trundle to be the good side of that matchup, but as time ticks down, will it be a marksman jungler for Peanut? And yes, the Graves comes in. The exact matchup, actually, we saw Mlxg play into Peanut and survived it pretty well.
So my brain goes through a couple of things when you see the hover even of the Kindred, and it's kind of like a dare. Will you switch this Trundle to a flex? Because we're so used to seeing Trundle in jungle always now, but could flex into the support, could flex into the top lane, and people have been playing Kindred into the Graves, so.
Where is Lulu going is also a question. China, of course, don't be playing mid lane Lulu. Lots of different things can go on with this drop. A Trundle support could happen. Anything could happen, really. A lot of flex picks aside of the LPL for RNG.
Ming has played one support Lulu so far on this side of the year, though, and maybe going to boo that one again as they're going to grab a tank for the top lane. Need some more front line, yes. So big damage threats out of the Swain and Ashe, and with Lulu, that 2-on-2 should be a pushing lead.
Yeah, Lulu Ashe definitely looks good as far as dealing out some early damage in trading and trying to get some control of that lane. Plus, we'll see the lock-in of the Ornn here to secure more of that 5-on-5 stability for the team.
So Kingzone want to round their draft out by actually firming into a 1-3-1 by picking up the Camille, her first Camille of the tournament coming through from Tahm.
Yeah, as soon as you see the Ryze, Ezreal, Tahm, Kench, first three there for them, you're thinking they're going to try and split the map. And now with Khan on the Camille taking the carry into tank matchup, definitely confirmed here. I'm super excited to see how this is going to work because these are the team comps that you do not have as much confidence in other teams pulling them off because they do have, higher execution needed to have success with them. If you make mistakes, they don't have fallback patterns. They're all squishy champions, and they don't have a lot of recourse.
And RNG have the champions you want when you see that 5-on-5 versus 1-3-1 team comp, and Ornn for hard engage, Ashe for hard engage, and plenty of follow through as well. The damage up was certainly there. Keep in mind there was only one tank on that Kingzone roster. It is that Tahm, Kench, and in support role, not that durable of a champion. So if the 5-on-5 start, they can start running through people.
Especially with the nerfs to great health as well. Tahm, Kench on this patch, even weaker as a tank. And we saw the last game, Ole died like 9 times or something. So
to be fair, the nerfs weren't the reason for that one. That was positioning.
That's true.
And we need to see where Kingzone did take the lead. Because like you say, bot lane is going to be a pushing lane. It's double range, but Graves into Trundle is seen as this counter. They can potentially invade around the Camille and do a lot of counter jungling. And I'm really excited about the first 4 to 5 minutes of this game because I want to see how Kingzone wield the Graves first time on the year for Peanut.
All right, well, the music is epic and the players are ready to go. You can see them on your screens right there. They're in the fountain, ready to get out and unleash hell on their opposition. Game 6 of the day. Which of these teams will join Flash Wolves undefeated at 2-0? Royal never give up. Got their win at the very start, taking down Fnatic. Kingzone took down the North Americans and Team Liquid. Now they face each other. Coming into the tournament, these are almost everyone's top 2 teams.
Love to hear the RNG fans cheering for their team. I must admit, I'm always staying silent and waiting for Kingzone fighting, but sadly, Korean brethren not here for this one. But the actual team is here, and I'm really excited because it's very standard Kingzone. It isn't tanks. It is a lot about pressure. We talked about an active level 1, and Peanut's pretty deep.
Yeah, he's stuck up here onto the high ground.
You say stuck.
Snuck.
Oh, there we go. Okay.
He's able to sneak up onto the high ground here behind LetME, where they have the extra advantage, knowing that Khan is here with vision of the single top laner, and Peanut has had plenty of time for the cooldown on his E to come back up.
That's the fun thing is with the quick draw, there's actually no cost. You can walk in, you don't have to blow a flash. If you're ever going to be collapsed on.
Yeah, unless they guess right away, but yeah, that's back up from cooldown. Not going to be a problem for him right there.
Khan could also take hookshot and skip over if he really wanted to. But Khan's going to show himself on the ward. Peanut walks around. When will they get the information that Peanut's here? They still don't know.
They get the W slow and a quick Tahm, Kench Q as well, and the auto attacks come in. So barring a smite still, this will be a camp taken away, and Gorilla making sure to zone them off. Yeah, there was no chance to steal. Good pickup there for Kingzone.
And this is the reason why I was really focused on level 1, because when Kingzone have comps like this, when you see something like Trundle, Swain, and what can happen if the enemy team plays mid lane, they'll often look for a 3-buff or try to rewrite a matchup by going for something very aggressive. Ryze should be fine early levels at Swain. Peanut going for a 2-camp clear, not in any rush to leave the enemy jungle.
Yeah, very offensive compositions like this thrive off of pressure, starting it early and snowballing it. Graves, if you can get a lead in this jungle matchup, Graves with the extra range advantage, fleet footwork, allows you to kite around a Trundle, bully him when you find him. Eventually with the Phage, speed as well, building into a Black Cleaver, will be able to really control those meetings. But right now, if you keep your eye on Mlxg, this Trundle, he is always one to get very aggressive, and even if he gets invaded, try and answer back. So he's going to the blue. Kingzone, however, definitely expecting it, have a ward of their own.
2 bits of vision here. The ward does spot them. Remember that the Hawkshot also did spot Graves. So more information than you might expect for RNG. So they have that level 2 Hawkshot coming through from Uzi. It will definitely dissuade a Trundle. He knows the collapse could potentially come through, and the 3-buff for Kingzone is often able to pick up. It's once again on the menu, but we'll see if it does stick.
Saving grace for Mlxg is the pushing bottom lane. Uzi and Ming trying to come right this jungle situation for him. Will he get the smite? No.
Blue on over. Nicely done right there. Peanut securing more and more advantages now up to full camp and total CS. And one of those is Scuttle, not worth all that much money. Really nice at a Kingzone in the early game.
And not only is it, head-to-head right now, he currently has more, but he has more on his side of the map because he counter-jungled the Gromp as well as
camps,
Blue.
yeah.
So it takes away any of the options there for Mlxg trying to farm back into it, and it forces him to be this kind of scavenger Trundle where he's looking around the map just to pick up scraps.
And again, you should notice the Kingzone, they had Gorilla with his teleport down, his teleport Ezreal once again like the previous game. They actually had a big combat summon at disadvantage when they walked into contest. That goes a different way. They actually focus on fighting. Then they end up losing because they don't have the summoners. That was purely just an on-point smite from Peanut, and it means he's very quickly to level 4 and beyond.
Huge stuff out of the early game jungle. This is generally how Kingzone win their games. They've got Peanut on form, playing so well, getting advantages individually. It's not often out of huge ganking, but they do have a decent number of kills in the early game. It is just the fact that their lanes all tend to win, and Peanut keeps the jungle from being able to pressure anything at all. And right now, the small lead is here.
See Khan's record on carries, 23-1, and I had a lot of fun listening to The Dive recently. Of course, you're on there, Kobe.
Great
talking
show.
About, it is a great show. Quick plug to The Dive. We don't have an LCK podcast, so you can have all our viewers. We're going to actually focus in on a stat that really is near and dear to my heart, something that I saw when I was looking in on what was happening around the regular season. This is 2018 spring, regular season stats. Notice that Prey, when it comes to the amount of minions he picks up from 15 to 30, even though he's in this big group of hype carries, Reckless, Uzi, Doublelift, and Prey only takes 26% of the creeps, 9% less than Reckless. He's not sitting in a side wave, picking up minions. He's actually roaming us around. Speaking of not being in a side wave, now 2 levels up on Mlxg, but finishing off the point here, what we take away from this is that Prey actually plays a lot of Ezreal. The champion's playing right now. He gets early gold in groups. It's in the side wave, Khan on a carry's picking up the creeps that, for example, Reckless is picking up for the side of Fnatic. It's other people that pick it up on there. Peanut and Khan get a big chunk of the minions compared to Prey, and yet he still puts out relevant damage compared to other hyper carries while we keep them and discuss them in the same voice. The way Prey plays, the selfless style of, I just need this amount of gold, 3,500, whatever it is, and then I'll group, is the reason that you can play sideways and you can actually avoid just hoovering minions like some of these other AD carries do.
Definitely like to have an AD carry on your team that knows the limits of playing on a budget and what they can actually, put out.
But what it actually ends up meaning, coming back to what you're talking about on the dive, is the standard game plan from Kingzone is not explosive team fights. In fact, there aren't a lot of team fights in Kingzone games. What they are all about is setting up these areas of the map where you can't go. The Jace has a lot of AD items. I can't really enter lane. I could die. I can't go there. Turret goes down. The rotation happens on bot side. It's not about a tank top and explosive team fight execution. It's, I can't go near Peanut. I can't go near Khan. The map gets smaller and smaller, and suddenly 10,000 gold means we can't even fight.
Exactly, and where that so often starts is with Peanut in the jungle, and that's a point that you get to move around. Khan here, though, gonna have to deal with the Ornn ult.
Ooh, and a lot of knockups there, but now the teleport coming in from behind as the team wants to join in here. Khan very, very low, but Gorilla shows up and ensures there's not going to be any fatalities. It slows the stuns. It's in there, and first blood comes in for Khan. Thank you, Gorilla, for the assist.
Beautiful execution, double teleport bot lane. That time it's Gorilla coming in. You load the gold onto Khan, he gets closer and closer for the Ornn to no longer be able to even look for trade.
And your point is illustrated. Prey playing on a budget here. He doesn't have his support. He's farming as Ezreal under the turret. They are giving up, a little bit of turret damage, and he is getting most of the CS there, but it's being felt some. And when Uzi gets a lot of free CS like that, we have to switch the lens back over to RNG's side because this is what they want. They want Uzi to have a large amount of gold so he can carry them, deal out the damage later.
But it's all about deciding the game before that gold can even be in there. There's 23,000 gold between both teams at this point. If it stays low gold values, if it stays Peanut with an experience advantage and getting forward, doesn't matter how much is loaded onto Uzi. And he's not even on a hard carry, as Peanut might just be spot on this ward as he comes for the gank.
Okay, 3 versus 2. They're going to look for a lot of damage coming across this one, but It's going to be the summoner heal on the walk away as the minions go down and Uzi gets that last hit. No W in a CC, just the straight damage shots.
Yeah, Peanut, though, continuing to invade on this Graves. He's able to get the red buff. Huge for him. Going to allow him to continue to bully. And Mlxg picking up scraps, the Krugs left around in his jungle. Whereas Peanut asserting dominance, getting those lanes, the extra pressure that they need to play offensively.
These are the sort of games where Trundle struggles because he was already 3-buffed, he's behind in experience, only been able to farm. He wants to play around mid lane and try to make something happen with the Swain, but he's being dictated to by the Graves. The mid lane priority is there for Kingzone, largely because, like you mentioned, it's a no-go zone whenever Peanut shows up in vision or in front of your face, and that means the Trundle is just kind of hoping the game goes to team fights where he can be a factor.
Take another look here. Khan, knowing his limits, is going to wait here after the ultimate is used, after the dash also used from LetME. He knows that he can keep him around long enough for Gorilla to arrive with his ultimate. He's not in danger of the burst from Ornn as well, because he knows he doesn't have that brittle on him. And then they're able to secure it. It was fairly close, but a really good opportunity there from Gorilla, and it didn't cost them that much.
Just the teleport, and like you say, Phreak can't be denied to Ezreal. He can farm from over 1,000 range on the turret. Speaking of under turret, Mlxg going for a bit of a walk.
Some nice shots right there as well as Ming's down a half HP, but again, you're seeing this minion lead 15 right now for the Ashe on Uzi. He's doing really well, but Waves are going to keep the turret in a decent spot. You can see it's at half HP though. This is what RNG do. They shove up and they actually go for the shots on the turret as well, and eventually that can become first turret gold if it's not answered. His damage goes up and up. BF sword already on that champion, of course.
Really nice timing there. Peanut was top side and just backing away, so they end up getting a camp away. They end up getting a bit of damage onto the turret. It's a bit below half. Now actually taking it down, unlocking Ashe to play mid lane and look for that sort of play where you can make so much value from the Ashe hour as a mid lane Ashe. That's going to take a while here, so unfortunately. Actually cementing this turret, Peanut will probably spend the majority of his time bot side from now on to stop the turret going down pre-15 minutes.
Pings on him as well. There is quite a lot of vision from RNG on the bottom side of the map, so they've seen him come this way. XiaoHu should know it's possible that he's in this area. Either that or looking to invade Trundle.
Pressure shot with a warrior as well, compared to a bit of everything from the Trundle. Gorilla going to walk up.
Gorilla is stunned, and everyone is here to CC him. The gray help there. He can pop the shield, but is there a way out? Another knockup. Nicely done by Lulu. The kill comes through. Now the flash follow. Prey is low, and Peanut here to stop this one out. So Ming. I'm sorry, Mlxg. Their names are spelled similarly, now getting incredibly low. The flash in for the exhaust to stop the damage. Nice play out of Ming to keep his teammates safe.
Didn't have wild growth up to keep him up, but the exhaust just about does the job. A lot of summoners actually are the cost for this aggressive play, but they do get away with it, RNG.
And now's a good setup from RNG. On the control ward, they hit the Ashe arrow. Here we go, though. Can he dodge?
Oh, nice out of Khan. Gets away from the knockup, but still has to be worried about how that trade might look under the turret and has to back right out as they burn their spells back and forth. A nice little grass proc, but the stun could be here. Is it the damage? A physical shield means the turret can't even kill him, and Khan just too good.
A damage calculation dirty. Speaking of dirty, Peanut looking to proxy this wave. They're trying to isolate Uzi and Ming. Here comes the Abyssal Voyage.
And now it's 4 on top of less. This could be an easy one. The flash forward, near sight of kill comes through, and Uzi has nowhere to go. Khan shows up, TP's in just to say, hello, I am here. I'd like a bit of XP, and that turret is going to fall.
Yeah, they know they have easy numbers advantage there. Haven't got the top lane kill, allowing Khan to recall, but they didn't even need it. And this is Kingzone's explosive lead now, taking the first turret as well.
And there's just so much to keep track of if you're RNG, because it's 4 teleports and also an invasion advantage. Gorilla walks up, he wants to put down a ward. He does eventually go down. I think Mlxg is optimistic with his flash over, trying to actually get the kill here. Prey was on around 500 health with his flash open. Exhaust very nicely done by Ming though. Didn't have really mana for anything else, but he does stop Mlxg going down.
Yeah, and Mlxg trying to chase there. You know, it is the flash for flash with Ezreal, but then the additional 2 summoners from bottom mean that is a huge victory.
Unfortunately, Swain can't get there fast enough. Not able to respond to this, can't get to bot lane. Peanut was stopping them from walking away from the turret, disengaging the turret. If you realized it 20 seconds earlier, maybe you get away. By the time Peanut showed up, there was nowhere to run.
And that's going to give the opening for Kingzone. They make the swap to the top side. They've sent Prey up there. Peanut with a quick exit is going to be able to pop that plant, as well as probably secure a little bit of an invade onto the blue.
Gorilla's already here, and there's no one to stop this blue take right now. In fact, no one's even stopping Ezreal shoving in the top lane right here. No one's answering Prey, so he's going to ult this wave to make it clean towards the bot lane and maybe help Khan with that wave clear, no problem. If he has a W, the turret will live, but he's got to be afraid of a potential dive. Even still, feels healthy enough, and Disengage is staying up.
We have to remember to go back to our expectations from Champ Select and say, where was RNG strong? Where could they be strong? Well, going double ranged in bot lane. Now, they both died. The bot lane turret went down first for the side of Kingzone, and the Ezreal Tahm Kench lane actually comes out ahead.
And they were strong on the bottom side. That's the thing. RNG, they're like, oh yeah, you know, we can get this double range matchup. We could be strong on the bottom side. But you have to be worried about what Kingzone we're getting in trade for that. And Gorilla made use of his global presence. It was even before level 6. He was able to use the spellbook teleport to get up to the top side and create advantages on the top side. Now, we're going to have the Dragon Trade Orb eventually, but Kingzone are still pushing on the tier 2 turret over there to get some more gold for themselves.
Almost every team in history had one area of the map you could attack, and that would shut them down. That would slow them down. Stop Faker, maybe SKT won't be able to get over the line. Kingzone had this season had all 5 players step back and be carried and also be superstar hard carries. And while they were able to slow down a Prey and Gorilla, biggest star this season for them has been Peanut. Outrageously good. I would say the difference between Peanut and the second jungler in the world is massive at this point, bigger than in any other role. And Peanut got the Graves for the first time, predictably started invading, and the game plan kind of fell into place from there for Kingzone.
Yeah, and now he does have that phage I was talking about. When Graves gets multiple forms of this move speed, like if Trundle gets caught out now, then you get chased down. When you get multiple resets of that, multiple applications, Kingzone should have a fairly decent and easy time of keeping this map spread out now. They can 1-3-1 very effectively. We've already seen Khan with multiple really good outplays, you know, using those vulnerability flames of the ultimate. And now Rift Herald being used in mid lane while the 1-3-1 is going with Ryze and Camille split.
So the charge comes through and Chile drops mid lane turret down to about 1/3. Will be answered eventually, but that is a low health turret. Kingzone looking to already get more than the 3 turrets they've got so far. Up 3 kills, up 2 turrets, and well, up about 5,000 gold at only 15 minutes in. This is a massive lead for the team.
But notice they don't show greed. They know they're ahead, but double control ward to the left and right side of the mid lane turret means you can't just poke around. You don't know what's around you. So they're happy to tap the charge, give up the rest of the health on the Rift Herald. Then they have Ryze pushing in top. Camille will continue to push in bot. Sooner and sooner, you'll be able to invade with Gorilla and put down the vision, and then the play comes so much safer.
As you know, cool as it is to always focus on how well Kingzone are playing this and how good of a team this is, you know, the strongest team that we have seen in so long, RNG, what they're looking at is trying to get a similar hard engage as we were talking about in the last game. But they're under so much pressure, keeping them spread out, that they can't, you know, bring those crowd control abilities together in time. They're just constantly behind the clock here, trying to play catch up. You know, even with Ashe Arrow and Ornn possibilities, Kingzone are staying ahead of them.
And that's a really good point there, because Tahm Kench is next to Ezreal, and it's Ezreal hard to hit with the Ashe Arrow. You'd love to throw in Ornn, because then, of course, you have to use movement abilities to get away from his ultimate. However, you're going to lose multiple turrets doing that. The cost is too high to actually group as 5 in Kingzone. They're happy to keep everyone, just taking the seams out and trying to play and push as much as they can without actually collapsing and opting into the Ornn.
It's really nice. You saw Khan walk up and say, hey, I'm here in case we want to dive. I can clear your control ward, walk away from me. Mlxg kills the control ward, walks back to bot lane. Mid lane turret falls anyway. Eventually, Ornn is here to collect the wave, but already lost some of that CS under the turret in the first place, and it just feels like this full court press out of Kingzone. They pull people over when they need to, but constantly they force their opponents to just bleed gold.
Yeah, the Camille split push has quickly turned into a very untenable situation for the bottom side. You know, there are no turrets left for them outside of their inhibitor turret on the top side. So even though the Swain can kind of get there and go 50-50 with Ryze, he can't join as quickly. XiaoHu is sitting on the Flash and Ghost for more emphasis put on winning that team fight if they can get it, instead of having one of those summoners be a teleport to get to the actual team fight. So RNG, again, so much of this game, of a possible comeback for them, would be on nailing down and forcing one of those big fights with all of their hard CC. However, they're down so much gold. Even then, winning that fight becomes a little bit sketchy.
And that fight is not going to be like Flash was earlier where they got 6-7 goes at it.
Yeah.
Because of TP, Kingzone are always on the map. They're always in the lanes pushing. You don't have breathing room. So the extra teleport from Ezreal is meaning that they can just stay in lane longer, push for longer. You get one fight, maybe two fights, or the game is over because you're going to lose so much turret health because they have basically 100% uptime on pushing.
And the power spike is so much better for Kingzone as well. Full 2 items out of Prey there, Trinity Force plus a transformed Muramana. Uzi not even a couple hundred gold away from this Hurricane or whatever he's getting second, so a lot of space to work with here for Kingzone to take even more and more out of the map, and still looking like the team to beat here at MSI 28.
To note a little item choice here. Look, no Catalyst item for BDD. He actually went for full tier into Ceres, and now he's working on healing reduction to stop Trundle and Swain from dictating fights with extended healing. People were criticizing Fnatic earlier today for not picking up healing reduction. They were going for absolute burst. A pick comp just wants to kill someone, so you're not as focused on healing. Here, it will be a more extended fight, so healing reduction, super high value for BDD.
And Swain certainly champions you want to be able to cut down because they are going to get so much health back over the course of the fights. Right now, the stopwatch is in inventory for XiaoHu, and of course he's going towards Zony's next step, so yeah, that's going to be a lot of time he's got to work through that. But still a low ability power build. He's rushed for that Abyssal Mask, so not sure that even if they do find the team fight, they can actually kill the champions in time. Khan, you can see how much he does towards LetME. A 2-level lead in that side lane right here. He's just gotten so much more farm. He's up almost 50 CS.
Missed the cannon, though.
All right, never mind.
Pack it up, pack it up.
Yep.
Tournament's over.
Wow, all right. Kingzone just forfeit.
Little bit facetious. Dragon is coming up, though, so maybe there's some inkling as we have Mlxg currently hiding on the control ward, though there are deeper wards from Kingzone that saw him move to this area.
You're watching at home and learning more and more about this double tier Ezreal build. Second tier is online super early. You want that after the Muramana is transformed, started actually going on. It was 30 minutes 35 when he had Ceres Embrace complete and also the Muramana transformation. This one was around 19 minutes, so probably around 30 minutes again, our expectation for the entire Evolve double tier.
Yeah, and this does mean you're going to have a power drop in the build right now because he's getting almost 0 extra power. There's a bit of that mana to AD conversion, everything else, but until it turns into full Seraph, it's just not really that stat efficient of an item.
And BDD actually used his Realm Warp to push quicker there on the top side.
Mlxg is just going to fall. Ming couldn't land the rest of the abilities in, and the fight comes in. And look at the next kill. XiaoHu gonna pop the zonies, but Uzi is going to drop. Ashe is gone, and so is Swain. The ulti does not do enough damage. 3 quick kills in for Kingzone, and no one is putting up a fight against them.
Yeah, with that, team fight victory, they're going to be able to move over to Baron as well. And once that happens, this is only 20.5 minutes into the game. Once that happens, you feel like there's no coming back.
And it's so instant. The collapse happens, and LetME can't even be there. He's been just screaming for a 5v5 with this Ornn drop. He may never get one. He ambles over. Already his threats are gone. So it's Baron for the side of Kingzone.
Exactly. The speed with which that just happened didn't even allow for a teleport channel.
We're just poking at this point. No one's fighting. Nothing. You don't think the fight's over until Prey pops over and Chop Be Damned does a lot of damage. Khan is already there. You see the Ornn futilely walking from the base. Nothing he can do.
Yeah, the coordination there from Kingzone with Peanut and Prey both hitting their ultimates at the same time, and then Prey jumping in with the Arcane Shift. There was no hesitation here, and you could tell they were of one mind, allowing for that collapse to pull off.
That's why Ezreal has always represented a different threat when I'm watching the LCK compared to all the criticisms you see in post-game threads, NEU and NA, about Ezreal doing no damage. If you hit your timings, if you can rotate and be ahead of the play, which of course Kingzone always tries to be, he does incredible damage at 2 items. It's why he doesn't need to side lane. Prey doesn't play a lot of Infinity Edge champions because it's all about hitting these precise timings before you need a 3-item build to actually take effect.
It plays around the fact that Kingzone tends to be a great early game lead into mid-game conversion team. It's a team that bucks the trend of, oh, it's LCK, oh, they play so slowly in late-game team comps, and Kingzone is not really that team. Of course, their macro is great. They're the best team in the world for a reason. But it is about early to mid-game pressure a lot of the time for this squad. You can see, again, this gold lead just stupidly high, 9,000 at 22 minutes against the best team in China, and it just doesn't even look close.
You summated it, Phreak. That's exactly what we're seeing in front of us. They've played this immaculately so far, Kingzone. The Spirit of the Rocks Tigers certainly there in their game, and it is very easy on the eye. If you want to see the bloody team fights, maybe in a best of 5, but in games like this, It's just all happening around RNG. And if you're Uzi or any one member of RNG, you must be so frustrated.
Yeah, Baron gonna further empower the split push as the turrets continue to fall. Banner on the cannon already as well in the mid lane. Kratos got hit.
Yeah, but Gorilla's there, but they find the knock up here, and they will find 2 out of it, but no one is in range anymore to deal damage. XiaoHu pop goes, but not going to go for the actual engage. While Growth comes in, but this cannon still alive and chunk down to the turret.
Force Kingzone to play one lane, but unfortunately those big ults are down, so they will lose their inhibitor from this passage of play. That was the one chance they got. That was the first time they could. Unfortunately, it was 12,000 gold behind, and the execution couldn't quite carry them over.
Ooh, a nice pullback though on a BDD. They might get one for themselves, but still no one is really in range. Now towards Gorilla, who pops the cleanse, and finally a kill comes in for the first time at about 18. And XiaoHu towards the front, Realm Warp just getting him out. They're going to be safe here, Khan, and he's got escape, so does Prey.
Respect the fact that Demonic Ascension is there. They can't take the second inhibitor. They have already got the one. It is, as we mentioned, a 12,000 gold.
They want to chunk it and run away here. Teleport's actually coming in as well for Kingzone, and they want to finish.
Gorilla's still dead, and they're happy to just siege a 4v5 right now. Pillar comes in looking for damage in the Khan. Uzi's okay in the side lane, and now they're going to get that kill without a Tahm Kench to save. So a bit of greed out of Kingzone, maybe too ostentatious there. And they're going to have to stop and cool down, respawn, and try again in a few minutes.
Tried to abuse, they could freshly shop and come back with teleport, but still 4v5. They are too optimistic, not going to commit on the play. Back away to Kingzone. A bit unsociable there, but they've got quite a lot of road to play.
They do. It's going to give maybe the opportunity for RNG to try and get that team fight that we've been looking for. But at this stage, we already saw with the initiation mid lane that if it's going to be an even 5-on-5, the gold is so much that even though there's giant forms of crowd control here for RNG, they have to get someone down before a full collapse takes place. Like, this is kind of how they want to start out, right? They force out the Tahm Kench Devour, then they're able to hit the Ornn ultimate on 2, but because the double collapse is coming in, they have to abort mission here. They cannot fight against this super fed squad.
And that's why they end up just surrendering the inhibitor, because everyone has to back. They're low health, their ults are down, they don't have the same engaged threat. 2 inhibitor turrets go down, 1 inhibitor completely falls. Definitely wasn't the cleanest to close it out, but Kingzone got to be greedy with the teleports back, try to take that second low inhibitor.
I really like the team's coordination, though. Pillar into Swain auto attack to get the pull. You've got to be calling that one out, and they did it very well. And then again, this is the 4v5. The whole team got to heal, and they just get another Pillar on the Khan.
Yeah, Khan locked up there, and they're able to finish off one of the members. That's kind of what they're looking for, right? Pulling out someone, because there aren't any really tanky members on Kingzone, even though Gorilla is the Tahm Kench. From the support role, can't take too many hits, and RNG just trying to focus down a single member at a time, slowly try and get something back for themselves.
3-item Ashe and Ardent Sensor is in there for Ming. The miracle team fight would be sitting in base and finding those lucky picks. The Seraph's Embrace still not all the way over just yet. Current mana pool, 2/3 of the way there. It's not going to be long until that next power spike really comes through for Prey.
Miracle team fight could happen, like you say. They do have some items onto the Ashe, but actually forcing them to group up as 5 outside of assaulting a Nexus turret seems so unlikely. And Baron and the Mountain Drake spawning, how can RNG actually force the 5v5 that they honestly have to take, otherwise the game will end around them?
Yeah, I think they would have had to start a bit earlier in the game to get this going, right? And this game is a really good demonstration of the versatility that we keep talking about with Kingzone. You know, they have Peanut on point going for super early invades. That's the first domino in the line here to get the pressure going. Then they have BDD on Ryze, his most played champions, roaming down bottom lane after they had gotten Khan priority on top side, so that they were able to bring all the members down to the strong point of RNG. You know, it's Kingzone saying, yes, you can play around Uzi, but what is the rest of the map gonna come to, right? So Kingzone play mid, they play top, jungle, they get advantages on all those areas, and they bring them all down to the bottom lane and kind of wipe out the strength there from RNG.
But it's so much about Kingzone's proactivity, because you come to RNG and you don't really have a lot of criticism to lay at their feet. They didn't make a lot of big mistakes in this game. They weren't able to fully capitalize on their double range bot lane, finding a way to actually actually kill that turret and maybe you rewrite the history of this game, because Ezreal, Tahm, Kench going out lane first seemed very unlikely. But the moment that happened and you're against a quadra teleport team, the Creeping Dread was there. They understood how dire the situation they were in. It's just so difficult when your enemy team plays a proactive style that so few other teams can actually close. And by closing, I mean actually get the 10,000 gold lead in the mid game. Right now, there still is the I's to dot and the T's to cross as the Baron is on the left.
So they don't get that one backwards. As the Baron is up and Kingzone gets rid of the mid lane wave, and at some point they will collapse back down to this top river as they've put the control wards down and getting rid of some of that vision. Khan's going to do the quick solo on this Mountain Drake. With Double Mountain, they will absolutely evaporate Baron Nashor. Right now, they're playing for control. They're not looking to sneak, not looking for the 50-50 potential steal, potential backstab. Of course, Khan on the other side of the map means it will take a little bit of time here on this one.
There's transformation even earlier this game, around 28 minutes for both those tier items to be fully stacked.
Sarah's Embrace worth a lot of ability power. 50 plus 115 for the mana combined. Ezreal's full mana pool. 3,800. It's a lot of stats. He is now on that power spike and going towards that healing reduction, plus Ruin King, and I'm really glad he's actually adding these as his last two items. I think they fit the build really well. Ruin King for anti-tank, and of course the Executioners because of the champions against.
Yeah, I mean, BDD's got a big shield. Prey now has a big shield. Camille with the Sterix for Khan there is going to have one as well, and Graves with the Phantom Dancer, going to auto-attack someone close. He's a little bit innate tankily from his champion kit and reduce a little bit of damage of whoever's closest to him. It just makes it hard now to try and even isolate one of those members and burn them quick enough, in addition to the fact that they have to not be next to Gorilla.
If you're wondering how much damage Ezreal's doing with his ult, you're the first target. It's about 900 at this point with the double tier build. Soon to be play the Ruin King to put it around that number.
All right, collapse on Baron is happening. Here goes Kingzone, and this is RNG looking to make their move, but immediately Kingzone pull off. They allow a little bit more space for Khan down bottom to split push with the Camille.
And there was too much space for the Ornn to actually get there, and that's the terrain where they can actually combine Ornn ult and Ashe ult. As Ashe ult does fly wide. If LetME actually gets to a fight, strange things can happen regardless of the gold lead. So far, Kingzone have been able to deny that, but LetME not being in interrupt range of Khan is the one way that can happen.
And with the Ashe arrow down, that's a very important tool that RNG would have to use to be able to force something, because they have to catch someone kind of out of position. That's really the go-to one. And, you know, Tahm Kench was also right next to Peanut, even if that one had landed on him. So RNG might have to wait around. They need every
advantage
available to
everything
them
they can
to
get.
try and make it happen.
Well, XiaoHu basically has money for Ryze right now, and Uzi is only about 400 gold away from Infinity Edge, and that is a huge spike. They've got Khan slow, but he knows he can dodge away from any of the skill shot, crowd control, Ashe arrow on cooldown right now anyway.
But now it's about counting cooldowns. If you see 2 Hawk shots down, you have about 60 seconds to play around the Baron. Then you Ashe arrows down, so Khan can walk up and say, is there a flank for me, and not have to just get Ashe arrowed in the face and die. It's very much now about counting cooldowns and working out when they can actually invest their double Mountain Drake into restarting this Baron.
Counting for positives for RNG, though. They have been able to bide their time. They've been able to farm a little bit, wait for the second inhibitor come back. Yes, they're still down, 10,000 gold, and it's dangerous for them to venture out towards the Baron.
But it stayed 10,000 gold, and there's still no tank other than Gorilla on the lineup, which means you Trundle ult exactly that champion, and the front line is easy to kill. Uzi very close to IE gold. He actually might have it on this recall, and that's the big power spike. That's now Leandri's Torment actually instead of Ryze, the item out for XiaoHu. So even the midline Swain trying to build a bit of space is actually starting to scale up as well. Can use their opponent's stats against them. It's a max health burn, which is good against bruisers like Khan and Peanut have, where they don't have MR, they have health, and it's like, well, great, I scale off that anyway. Of course, still, we're talking about a 10,500 gold lead right here. This is something that Kingzone should be walking away advantageous with as they continue to scale up. Blade of the Ruin King done for Prey as well.
Any attempt to siege here, so RNG finally feeling confident enough. They're investing LetME because he's pushed out far enough in the bot lane. On the few times they've been able to walk down a lane and be proactive.
Yeah, and you only have 30 seconds once you do that. So if they aren't able to immediately jump on it there, and have the Ornn get close enough in that 30 seconds, Khan's knocking at your door again. He's like, hey, I'm at your inhibitor turret. Are you going to come back and deal with me? Or are you going to take your shot now?
Mlxg does have more vision available to him because he did go for Eye of the Watchers now opened and is able to actually start poking in the wards. There's still no Baron taken.
Nice chunk down from Khan. Actually makes LetME have to kind of hide from this. Look at that. He actually will die under turret, so that's going to be inhibitor turret falling.
Yeah, even Ornn with press the attack on him already looks pretty juicy.
So the play is to sacrifice Baron to go for a kill on Khan. He's going to flash to land an auto attack stun, and he should not have any ways out of this one. Guardian Angel popped. The death should happen as well. He's going to try to make the play. Nearly takes down Uzi, but the health is simply too high. So Baron gets taken out, and the team is sieging the top lane as they will kill off Khan. So now 5v4 with Baron up. The Baron is going to help knock down that top lane inhibitor for a few seconds. What's going to happen on the backside, though?
Was no play. I would say there was no play for RNG to actually stop the Baron with where the map was. So they get a kill, they get a Guardian Angel. Now the gold efficiency of his items are a bit lower. They lose top lane inhibitor. They have no inhibitor turrets left, but there wasn't really another playbook for RNG to follow.
Gotta cherish the small things in life, Papasmithy. When you're down 10,000 gold and you're able to kill the enemy top laner and take down their Guardian Angel, you know, that's going to be one of those small victories for them. Because as you said, if they go for that Baron, it is a Hail Mary. If they try and stop that thing, that is a very low percentage, you know, attempt to actually turn the game right there. But this one, they sent everybody down to Khan, trying to make some quick work of him. And even then, you know, they're flashing on him, they're immediately ulting, and not hesitating to use everything available.
While we watch this extended replay of Khan going down, I think returning to something you just said, what could they have done, is something that at every moment of this game, if you freeze and say, what could RNG be doing here? Very often the answer was defensive and reactive outside of maybe around the bot lane early. So often it was losing the minimum, losing the minimum, losing the minimum. You add the minimum together enough, the game's over. There has to be only 100% to be able to be claimed. And that's kind of the thing about a game plan like this is they haven't made huge mistakes, but how Kingzone have approached the game, there wasn't a lot of false choices for RNG to follow. And at the end, they have to give up a Baron and accept the maximum, which is killing Tahm.
This late in the game, that Infernal Drake pickup means quite a lot of extra stats. It's ability power and attack damage, so doubly useful for Prey. Can use both sides of it. There's like no champions that do that other than Akali. It's beautiful. All right, so Prey is huge, and they're looking now at this end game sort of play there. The pillar comes in. No follow-through yet on the Prey's Ezreal. Gorilla trying to stand far enough away that he's not always a stun target, as he does have cleanse but no QSS, so no double CC removal. He can only get rid of one. But that siege is happening in the bot lane. Banner, Baron, Minion doing pretty nicely. 1 minute left on that buff still. Ashe able to knock down that.
LetME has to abandon clearing minions and top side. Khan walks into mid lane. Almost interrupted.
Could be the attempt on towards Khan. He's flashless, he's GA-less, and they will get the ulti across and quickly picked up there and saved. And XiaoHu puts on the zonies, but he's so low on HP, he's gonna have to flash away to stay alive. Phreak could be a target, but he's gonna jump forward for a little bit more. An ulti out of the graves. Peanut almost gets himself a kill. There's gonna be a quick healing force out of the squad. Uzi does have time to auto attack though. Can he find the target to go down for? Turret's getting a bit low. The mini wave thinned out. All in hits dead.
Khan is going to teleport back in. He recalled after taking that big chunk on Camille. He's going to teleport to the top side and replenish the push here for Kingzone.
Only one play in this playbook. This is the NFL full court press. It's been Kingzone the entire time. They keep teleporting everywhere, always applying pressure. Still, it will eventually have to end with a 5v5, as that's the natural shape of the map.
There's nowhere else for them to go.
Nope. They've pulled in Gorilla. Big chunk of damage on there. Pops the shield. He's going to stay alive. One turret still standing, but his Baron times out right now. This is going to be the fight that might end the game. Peanut versus Uzi 1v1. Snipe's going to come in. They found it a little bit. BDD not going to fall. They killed Uzi instead. The knockup's in. Khan can't quite get it. He's been knocked into the air, but is there any damage to really speak of? XiaoHu, half tanky, looking for it as the ulti comes back across. They do get one for it. BDD very, very low. LetME can't quite get it. The health part just barely standing alive, and Prey able to kite, wielding that red buff. Peanut there to show in the bullets as well. They've got a pullback, but Prey is simply too durable. And as the Nexus starts to fall, 4 versus 4, teleport back in for the Ryze. They get a pull in, but Gorilla keeps him alive. The shots can come through. They go
And in addition to, how good they look winning this game, a lot of the awe that people have when looking at this team is that they're doing it with this type of team comp and how difficult the execution is and how few mistakes you're allowed to make with it to have a game look like that.
I mean, just nothing happens in a vacuum against Kingzone. If someone is dying, if someone is overextending, it's in the service of something, and that something, more often than not, pushes their agenda forward and forward and forward until eventually that Nexus explodes.
Beautiful stuff out of that squad, of course. So 2-0 is going to be their run so far. Flashholes have met that metric on another team that I think there's some pleasant surprises about, because it was a story for Flashholes of a squad that was losing a lot recently. Very bad Worlds performance, for example, lost part of their roster, still looking pretty sharp. So I'm very curious what that matchup looks like further down the road, because those are the two undefeated teams, and they are both looking sharp. But now for more on that day one of the MSI group stage, let's head over to MSI tonight.